A man in Japan suffered history's worst radiation burns, then doctors kept him alive for 83 excruciating days against his will. Jesus.
He was exposed to the highest level of radiation of any human in history. He worked in a nuclear power plant.
He had almost zero white blood cells and no immune system. Ooh, and was crying blood as his skin melted.
Also, just a heads up for anybody else that is really interested in Marvel films. He was overflooded with gamma rays. So, yeah, don't go playing with gamma rays.
The average person go about just gamma rays.
I mean,
putting your dick in a microwave.
There you go, see?
That's microwaves, but, close enough. The 3 men were untrained in the process and mixed materials by hand and accidentally poured 7 times the amount of uranium into an improper tank. Ouchie standing directly over the vessel as gamma rays flooded the room. While the plant and local villagers were evacuated, Ouchie's unprecedented ordeal had begun. Kept in a special radiation ward to protect him from the hospital-borne pathogens, Hisashi Ouchi leaked fluid and cried for his mother. He regularly flatlined from heart attacks only to be revived at the insistence of his family. His only escape would be a final cardiac arrest 83 long days later.
That is awful.
He worked at the Tokaimura nuclear power plant.
No due diligence in that plant at all. 3 untrained guys that were just given access to uranium to fill up a container.
Well, I'm actually at this part now. So the plant converted uranium hexafluoride into enriched uranium for nuclear energy processes. It was typically done with a careful multi-step process that involved mixing several elements in a carefully timed sequence. In 1999, officials had begun to experiment to see if skipping some of these steps could make the process faster, but it had caused them to miss a deadline for generating fuel. So at 10 a.m. on September 30th, Hisashi Ouchi and his 29-year-old peer and their 54-year-old supervisor...
No. Who was the peer?
Masto Shinohara and supervisor Yukata Yokokawa. I think I did alright there.
Yeah, I'll give you that, Ben.
Yeah, there were some syllables there. The wrong way round, but they were there. Parker, not Yukata.
But none of them had any idea what they were doing. Instead of using automatic pumps to mix 3.3 pounds of enriched uranium with nitric acid in a designating vessel, they used their hands. They poured it into steel buckets.
That's ridiculous.
The room exploded with a blue flash after the uranium reached critical mass. That confirmed that a nuclear chain reaction had occurred and was releasing lethal emissions of radiation.
That's definitely crazy. A Homer Simpson-esque uranium rod.
So did they just keep him alive because his family didn't want to lose him or whatever?
It seems it, yeah.
That's messed up. I get it, but it's kind of messed up.
The exposure to more than 7 sieverts of radiation is considered fatal. The supervisor was exposed to 3 and was the only one to survive. Masato Shinohara was exposed to 10, while Hisashi Ouchi, who stood directly over the steel bucket, was exposed to 17.
Christ.
He was exposed to the most radiation that any human being had ever suffered. He would have been in immediate pain and couldn't breathe, and by the time he arrived at hospital, he had already vomited violently and fallen unconscious. Radiation burns covered his entire body and his eyes were leaking blood. He basically lost all of his immune response and white blood cells.
Yeah, by the sounds of it, he was just a big pile of gelatinous goo and bones.
His first week in intensive care involved countless skin grafts, blood transfusions, cell transplant specialists. Photographs of his chromosomes show them completely decimated.
Jeez. At least he helped contribute to studies of radiation poisoning.
I can't take it anymore, cried Ouchi. I am not a guinea pig.
He's not a guinea pig.
Doctors continued to experiment treatment such as his skin began to melt from his body. He would eventually have 3 heart attacks in 1 hour.
Poor guy.
His brain damage increasing every time he died. Ouchie's fate had long been sealed. It was only a merciful final cardiac arrest due to multi-organ failure. They released him from his pain. Oh, this didn't even tell you the worst bit that Katie told me about.
Is it where he just like liquefied?
The internal organs that start to decay. So,
He's basically just rotting by the sounds of it.
Yep.
That's horrific. Interesting, but horrific.
Hmm.